says it's working. Okay, I got rid of that. Go live. And then it says you are live, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way, everybody. By gosh, here I am. I'm alive and well and ready to go, just like a brand new horse on the racetrack. And so tonight we're going to have a great show. We got my co-host, Steve, Slightly Slanted Sleuth, and we got Lucky Stone as our guest tonight in the cold northern part of the eastern United States, who's getting snowed in right now.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Yes, definitely. You're getting experience what, yeah, probably haven't experienced there in quite a while.
Absolutely. That's yes.
Yeah. Now, I've read some history books, and heck, you can even look back at George Washington when the Delaware froze, and, it was cold back in those days. And all of a sudden there was a big change. And I remember for years and years, the East Coast had like 60-degree weather this time of year. 50, 60s. It was nice. They get occasional little bit of cold snap or something, a little bit of snow, but that was it. And by, middle of February, the cherry blossoms are coming.
I heard Myrtle Beach was getting a foot of snow or something like that today.
It's the whole East Coast.
Yeah, South Carolina, everything, huh?
Yeah. That's, the whole from DC north, they're getting a couple feet, and which is unheard of, south of New York. But now, normally it's kind of Maine weather sort of thing.
Maine, yeah. Well, everybody expects that. Oh shoot. I'm trying to double dupe here, and I can't figure out why this ain't.
Somebody's got their video playing in the background.
Ooh,
yeah,
not me. I don't have it. I can't hear it. I got an excellent connection, and we got everybody piling in. I just can't. I'm trying to figure out why I can't play it on my phone. My phone says that we're not. Oh, there we are. Oh, now I got it going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I want to see. I'm going to do a screen share. And I want to make sure it comes out on the thing, because when I do the screen share, I'm going to have to cover up my other part of my thing. So, but anyway, my mind is working again. When I was ill, I had my brain was shut off, and except for daydreaming. But while I was daydreaming for days and days at a time, I had this idea of how the sun affects all of us, the sun's rays. And I was listening to different stuff, and they were talking about frequency and how we are light frequency. And, Steve, you're always talking about how we are the light, and the light is in us and all that. Am I right? You always
we're hard light, pretty much. Yeah. According to Ken Wheeler. No, but I agree with this synopsis that we are the product of energy and spirit mixed together, and that's what we are.
Yeah. And what is energy?
And light,
yes. And
light is everything.
Yes, light is everything. Everything that we see is just like they were saying, we're living in a hologram, because everything is made up of light. It's just that it vibrates slower than all the rest of the light around us. And because it vibrates slower, and then I got to thinking about, I was listening to all these different things, and I had this idea, and I'm like, okay, so what if I'm a product of this sun, right? And then there was someone else who was a product of another sun somewhere else, kind of like, the Superman theory. Superman came from Krypton, but he was of that sunlight. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and then I got to thinking, and I was listening to this one about the Watchers. The Watchers came and da-da-da-da. Well, they were not of this light. Right?
Well, that's the whole thing. The whole sun thing exemplifies and presents in our world a manifestation of the spiritual light that we all have within us. See, this physical sun that we have here in our paradigm is the life bringer, just like the light is the everlasting life bringer from the spiritual side, so that it just shows you the correlation or the as above so below concept of it, what's in is what's out. And the representation of the sun in our world is everything needs it. We all need it, from vitamins for our immune system. Plants need it for creating oxygen for us. I mean, it's just a fact in our physical world. And in the spiritual world, there is the Son of God. That's what we recreated, and it all just trickles down. There's manifestations of the sun everywhere we look in our paradigm, everywhere.
Yes, because the sun, even though, we don't look at it so much today, our ancestors from day one worshiped the sun. They knew that the sun was the most important thing anywhere, regardless of if they knew what it did or what it was. They knew that it was the most important thing, period. And if it went away for a minute or two that it wasn't supposed to, like an eclipse, oh my gosh, the sun is gone. This is a catastrophe. They knew they couldn't survive without it.
What was that movie with the Aztecs and what was it, The Last of the Mohicans?
No, that was the
oh no, what was the one where the
Apocalypto?
There you go. Yep, very good.
That's the one.
I always do that with movies. My bad.
Yeah. Well, but before we get going, I'm going to do I'm gonna let everybody know. Everybody's getting in the chat room. We got a whole mess of people I need to say hi to, because I have missed you all immensely. We got Scotty Boys, who's in the house, and we got Doug Stack, who's now Grumpy Stack. Don't be so grumpy, Grumpy Stack. Renee Hutchinson's in the house, and Deborah Truax, and Max Vision, who I'm sure is going to have a show after this one, so go check it out. His thing is in the description below. Jules is in the house, and Susie Q. Deborah Sloan is in the house, and Brenda, Milky's mom, is in the house. Thank you for coming. My gosh, I haven't seen her in a while. She's probably saying, I wonder if that guy's sick and dying. But no, I am not. Dominic D. Spitito. Sorry, I messed that one up. Mary Wins is in the house. Yes, Mary Wins. Thank you for coming. And Emperor Rex, Travis the Brick, and I don't know. And yeah, I think I got everybody else. But
yeah,
anyway.
and I forgot to tell you guys, I'm going to be the first person to ever walk in the sun. Guess how I'm going to do it?
How are you going to do it?
I'm going to go at night.
You're going to go at night and walk in the sun?
Yeah, so I can walk on the sun, so when it's not so hot. Grumpy Stack stole my joke, stole my thunder, so I had to jump on it.
And there's Jackie J and Crystal Shaman. Thank you for coming. Jill Jarrett's there. Come on, by gosh. I don't know. I never went in and got a test, Jill, so I just suffered through it. It was the weirdest thing. But I didn't lose no taste or smell. I was just really tired. I had some little hot flashes, fever thing. I didn't lose any of that. I was just very tired and wore out. I don't know what it was, but it knocked me on my ass. I'd rest up, and then I was good again. And then as soon as I did anything, I was tired again. It was the worst thing ever. But I appreciate all of you and all your sending your all healing energy and saying good things and sending me nice emails. I appreciate that immensely. That really brought my spirits up.
Yeah, we're glad you're all right, man.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, I put together a nice little PowerPoint presentation for all of this, and hopefully this works. And I'm gonna try to see if I can see it on the thing. And
your first page, you're just answered my first question for you about why you came to ponder upon the sun while you were sick.
Oh, okay.
So
let's see if this comes
I think you're about to answer that question with this.
Yeah. Okay, and here we go. And I hope this is what we're seeing. And I think this is the side I'm seeing. Oh, yeah, this is perfect. Okay. Yes, I worked hard on this. Okay.
Yeah, they ain't easy.
The sun, and does it affect us Milky Way Soul Tribe.
Yeah.
History and if you guys got any questions, just yell out. History and the sun. The past, we have light. Present, we have light. We live in now. And then in the future, will that light change? So the question is was there a different type of light in the past? And then the present light that we live in and the future light that we may live in, which, you know, changes over hundreds of thousands of years. So we're like the frog in the pot, you know. Did the dinosaurs have the same kind of light that we did? Good question. The sun, what do we know? Facts about the sun. The sun is over 109 times bigger than the earth with 870,000 miles. It's so big that it accounts for 99% of the mass in our entire solar system. It's believed that the sun is about 4.5 billion years old. The surface temperature of the sun is over 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, even at night. And the sun's core is estimated to be 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. So even if you melted to the core, you would still be damn hot. Okay.
It sounds like it.
Fun facts about the sun. The sun is made up of primarily hydrogen and helium. Hydrogen accounts for about 76% of the sun's mass and helium for 26% of the sun's mass. The sun is classified as a yellow dwarf star. I didn't know that. And is nearly halfway through its life cycle. Currently, the sun has enough energy to burn at its currently does for around 5 billion more years. So that means we only have 5 billion more years, and then you can walk on the sun. At that time, it'll run out of hydrogen and leave a helium-filled core. Gravitational forces will then compress the core and allow the rest of the sun to expand. At this point in time, the sun will grow so big that it absorbs the inner planets in the solar system, including Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and even Earth. Once this happens, the sun will become
I won't say it.
yeah. Once this happens, the sun will become a giant red star and burn that way for another billion years. Once the sun runs out of helium, it will shrink and become a white dwarf and then ultimately sputter out and die. Then you might be able to walk on it. Fun fact, in only 1 hour, the sun provides enough solar radiation to Earth to power our entire planet for a whole year. The sun emits electromagnetic radiation that travels nearly 93 million miles in about 10 minutes to Earth as solar radiation. The solar radiation, known as photons, then becomes the sunlight that reaches Earth and provides warmth, helps plants grow, and offers us a renewable source of clean energy, if you didn't know that. Fun fact about the sun is a star, a hot ball of glowing gases at the heart of our solar system. Its influence extends far beyond the orbit of distant Neptune and Pluto. The temperature at the sun's core is about 27 million degrees Fahrenheit, average diameter 864,000 miles, but about 109 times the size of the Earth in August 3rd, 2017. The sun is the largest object in our solar system. The sun's volume would need 1.3 million Earths to fill it. Its gravity holds the solar system together, keeping everything from the biggest planets to the smallest bits of debris in orbit around it. The hottest part of the sun is its core, when the temperature tops 27 million degrees Fahrenheit, 15 million degrees Celsius. The sun's activity, from its powerful eruptions to the steady stream of charged particles it sends out, influence the nature of space throughout the solar system. Fun facts about the sun: NASA and other international space agencies monitor the sun 24/7 with a fleet of spacecraft studying everything from its atmosphere to its surface, and even peering inside the sun using special instruments. Sun exploring spacecraft include the Parker Solar Probe, Solar Orbiter, a SOHO, ACE, IRIS, WIN, iNode, Solar Dynamics Observatory, and Stereo. And I think a lot of us heard of Stereo. Solar ejections are also often associated with flares and sometimes occur shortly after the flare explosion. Coronal mass ejections are clouds of electrified magnetic gas weighing billions of tons ejected from the sun and hurtled into space with the speeds ranging from 12 to 1,250 miles per second. That's per second, miles per hour. Depending on the orientation and magnetic fields carried by the ejection cloud, Earth-directed coronal mass ejections called magnetic storms by interacting with the Earth's magnetic field, distorting its shape and accelerating electrically charged particles and electrons in atomic nuclei trapped within it. Now, if I was a liberal and I was a environmentalist, I'd be saying, well, that sun is dirty. It's ejecting billions of tons of junk into the space. We got to clean it up. What a dirty sun it is, right?
Yeah, dirty sun.
Yeah, look at all the junk it emits. We gotta put a ball around it or something. Keep all that dirt crap in there, you know.
But then we wouldn't see pretty auroras.
That's true. Solar flares among the solar system's tremendous explosions in the atmosphere of the sun, capable of releasing as much energy as 1 billion megatons of TNT, caused by the sudden release of magnetic energy. In just a few seconds, flares can accelerate solar particles to very high velocities, almost to the speed of light, and heat solar material to tens of millions of degrees. And there's your auroras. Fun facts about the sun. Severe solar weather is often heralded by dramatic auroral displays, northern and southern lights, and magnetic storms that occasionally affect satellites and radios communications and power systems. The flare and solar ejection has also generated a storm of high velocity particles, and the number of particles with 10 million electronic volts of energy in the space near Earth is now 10,000 times greater than normal. The increase of particles at this energy level still possesses no acceptable or appreciable hazard to air travelers, astronauts, satellites, and the NOAA SEC rates, and the radiation storm has a moderate S2 to S3 on a scale that goes to S5. And Northern Lights. How many of you guys have seen the Northern Lights?
I have.
Yes. Yeah, they're beautiful. Beautiful. Lucky, you've seen this Northern Lights?
Nope. My friends have caught it, and I've never actually seen the damn thing. I've seen it on videos, but never actually seen it in person. It's the weirdest thing.
Oh, well, you're not that far south. You should be
No.
able to see them.
I'm just bad luck. Honestly, my friends have basically.
Bad luck.
I was supposed to meet them a few times up because I live more city wise, so it's hard to see them in the city. We were supposed to go up to Canada at one point, and I got sick, so I didn't go up with them. And at least 5 or 6 times when they went to Canada, and I couldn't go because of life and everything. They saw the damn Northern Lights. Sometimes while driving up to Canada, sometimes in Quebec City, which is one of my favorite places to visit. They saw it over, the water over the St. Lawrence River, and I just have had the worst luck with actually seeing them in person. It's the weirdest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are beautiful. They are beautiful. If you haven't seen them, like I said, you can look at these pictures, and they are. That's kind of how it is. It moves around. It's the weirdest thing. It looks like clouds, but they're colored clouds. It's really cool. You ever get the chance? Definitely.
You can almost feel it.
Yeah.
When you're under it.
Yeah, that is for sure. Okay, back to the thing. Gods merge with Ra. Now we're going to get into spiritual stuff. Gods merge with Ra. Ra was believed to rule in all parts of the created world, the sky, the earth, and the underworld. He was the god of the sun. What does it mean? What does Ra mean? What does his sign mean? The breakdown of his sign. If you look at the little thing there, it says half equals smell. That's that little pointy thing. Then you got the dot, which is like his eye. That's the sight. And then you got his little eyebrow, and that is the thought. You got 1/16 is a hearing. That's the other little part of the eye. Okay, and then you got the taste. And if you look coming out of the eyeball there, is a little thing, looks like his tongue sticking out. That's your taste. Who would ever thought? I didn't even know this until I looked this up. And then you got the little little sticker thing that comes out of his eyeball like the little prong, and that is touch. So go figure. Each little line is a symbol to each, each thing.
All the senses of our world. Yes.
Yeah, and I never knew that. I never knew that until today. So I thought that was really interesting. Sun gods in history. There you go. There you go.
This is Horus.
Horus, yes. And well, if you go back to Horus, he's got the sun in the background, and
He always got the crook and the flail in his hand as well.
Yep.
The crook and the flail represent the redeeming aspect of the light, and the flail is the indifferent aspect or the creative aspect of the light. And you notice how the flail is in the same hand as the ankh.
Yeah.
And ankh means all creation. And the aurora boreas is around the red disc, which the red disc is the light. It is the consciousness. It is everything, and that's what that picture states. And
you notice that the consciousness is encirculated by the serpent,
by the aurora boreas. Yep.
Yeah, but it's got the little snake there thing.
Yep. The snake eating its tail. Correct.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
That's reincarnation cycle.
Yeah. And then he's got that staff with the little poker thing on the bottom. What does that mean? See the long stick with the little chicken head on it?
I have no idea what that means, really.
Yeah, that's a new one. I don't know, but
that with thy rod and thy staff, I shall set upon thee vengeance with great. No,
but I mean, each one of those things is a symbol.
Oh, they all mean something. Yes,
yeah,
you're right.
I don't know what that thing.
Even the tail with the rattlesnake thing on the end, on his coming off his side.
Yeah,
whatever that is.
Yeah, that's another thing. And I suppose look at now. Remember we talked about chakras and stuff. So you got the head chakra, which he's got the thing on the top, and then you got the big thing around the throat, and then you have the thing around the chest, and then you got one around the waist, and then
I'd venture to bet that around the chest there's a number of 12 of them in that sequence.
Oh yeah. Then, so each thing we know each thing means something, and I'm sure each color means something too, because if you notice the shackle things that he's got on his legs are the same as the ones he's got in his arms, but the ones he's got on his wrist are a different color.
Yeah, they're all three though.
Yeah, they're all there.
333, baby. And Scotty pointed out that the red disc is the pineal gland. It's the pineal light. Yes, it's the product of the pineal gland, and that's why it's atop its head. And notice how there's a white circle around,
Yep.
all of it all.
Yep.
And that's showing the womb of spirit, the spirit womb or whatever, I think, the whole, where the whole works takes place in the infinite abyss,
Yeah, which would be the light.
And red represents white light in spiritual sense.
Yeah, the light.
That's why it's colored red.
And it's always back to the light.
And yep, exactly. And that's why in the Bible they talk about the slain lamb, because the lamb's blood is the light pouring out of the pineal, and that's the correlation there. And
then again, now this is Krishna, from the Hindu stuff. And of course he's got the different, he comes out of the sun. He's got the big sun in the background. And let's see what he's wearing. He has different bracelets. You notice he has bracelets on too. And he has the different things around his neck, around his his chest, his waist, etc., and then on top of his head, he's got a little U shape right in the forehead, whatever that means. But now he's carrying things in each hand too. Of course he's led by all these horses, and there's 7 horses, 3 on each side and 1 in the middle. So there's you got the 7 horses. I don't know what that means, but
7 chakras, the 7 days of the week, the 7 houses of the Lord, the 7 candlesticks, the 7 menorah, all the same thing. It's the archetypes of creation, It goes from the Malkuth all the way up to the what is it, Keter, and you know it's the seven hermetic principles as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, it's the archetypes of creation.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, you know, the hermetic principles are, you know, it's as opposed to below, what's the correspondence? That's the word I was looking for earlier.
Yeah.
You know, that's one horse. And then you go on to the next, which is what is it? Vibration, then polarity, then rhythm, then cause and effect, then gender, then mentalism, and then back to correspondence again. And that's why 7 days a week, and Sunday is the still day, or the day of stillness. You ever heard that Creed song, In My Own Prison?
No.
Where he says, I should have been dead on Sunday morning, banging my head. He says, I should have been dead on Sunday morning, because being dead to the world is born again in spiritual sense. So, you know, that the whole blissful state is achieved on the 7th, which is the mentalism. And that's the correspondence of the 7. And that's why it's corresponding to our chakras. And 7th chakra is the Keter, you know, the crown, the light, the sun, only begotten son. Yes.
Nice. See, and seeing back of him, he's got the circles of light behind him too. He's got the big circle of white light too. He's got the white light. So that's cool. That is really interesting.
Just like the halo above any Christian thing.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to them too. And then this is the Incan Sun God. This is the closest.
Viracocha.
Yes, the Incan Sun God. Now I don't know what all those symbols mean, but it does look like a skull thing, you know. But who knows? But it looks really weird.
I would venture to say there's 12 different sections, and it emulates the zodiac as well as the cranial nerves, and in the middle is the light, the pineal light of the 13. It's the Jesus in the middle of the 12 disciples on the Last Supper painting. Yeah. I venture to say it's that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with some of that, because it's, you know, I mean, if we really sat down and tried to decipher that, I could see that happening. Okay, and then we got the Aztec god of the sun wheel, and again they got the spooky looking face thing, different points, you know, I suppose. And you know, we probably could go with that. How many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They got 8 points on there. So who knows?
Looks like the modern day clock, doesn't it? Kind of does. Different representations and little blocks all the way around, and then as it gets smaller and smaller towards the center, it ends up with the guy in the center. So, you know, this is exactly how the same information is viewed differently through each perspective of our respective cultural lens. It's just like how we see things differently in each of our individual lives and experiences, how each one of us can read the same experience different. And these things you're showing are all of the same thing.
That was the whole point, is like, no matter what culture you go to, you know, regardless of if it's the Aztecs, the Incas, but you notice the Incas and the Aztecs, their stuff looks more similar. But then if you go to the Christian or the Egyptian or the Hindu or whatever, their stuff looks more similar to that because of the cultures being closer together.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And then of course we got the Christian stuff, and here's the sun God, son of God. You see what I'm saying? And again, look at his eyes and his face, and what's in the center of his eyes. If you look real hard, there's a little. Why would they put the dot? People don't have a dot.
Bindi. It's called the bindi, the third eye, the eye of recollection, the single eye.
Yeah, so they kind of drew that in there, you know, and of course he's got the rays of the sun behind him, and you know, but then of course this is like the English version of, so that you could relate to it, I guess, you know what I'm saying? And
personified.
personified. Because if you just put up the Aztec one, people would look at
Yeah,
that.
right.
They
Exactly.
They would have no clue what you're talking about, but this is what most people would, oh yeah, they get it right away. You don't even have to ask questions. Okay, and then we got the Sumerian Sun Gods.
Mhm.
And again, they got the sun rays behind them. It's the first guy, he's got like horns. They all kind of wear like a spacesuit kind of thing. If you notice, they got this weird suit thing going on, and like an army or something. And they all have the rays of the sun behind them. As guess as good as you could draw into clay, and wearing similar outfits. It's kind of neat to see this. So anyway. I don't know if the guy in the middle represents something different because he's got a beard and a mustache, but the other two guys are his minions or his helpers, or I don't know.
I can only guess what any of that means. I don't.
Yeah, well, he's got a little bit bigger sash button than the other two.
Mhm.
So
Their
maybe
faces are
that's-
different too. They look like different races. I didn't notice that before.
Oh yeah, that's
The
right.
outside people are kind of rounder faces, while the one in the middle it's more Caucasian. If you mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, the ones on the right and left look more of like a Greek.
it's more it's like
Mhm.
Semitic or
Italian.
yeah. Wow,
Did you
interesting.
notice? Did you notice their eyes? Now I know they are really good about making all of this stuff, but you notice these guys' eyes are funky looking, like they're bug-eyed people. Like I
Mhm.
mean, they got extremely big eyes compared
Like they
to
drank too much coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I didn't notice that, but I'm looking at it. And I'm
Too
like,
many stimulants.
yeah, like they got these giant bug eyes, and I mean they made everything else perfect. Their mouth is normal, their nose is normal, their hands are normal.
Well,
their bodies-
the one on the I guess one's got horns or wings or big ears. Like I just
Yeah.
noticed that.
yeah, the one looks like
The
he's
other
got
one
horns,
doesn't.
and the other one doesn't. Yeah, but they all have those big bug eyes, and that's what I'm kind of wondering is like, why would you go through all the trouble to make the nose, the mouth, the eyes, the hands, everything normal, and then you make them with these funky looking eyes? What would be the purpose behind that? Except
Well,
that
there's
that's
always a reason behind everything in this ancient art,
well, yeah, unless those people really looked like it and they really had these big buggy eyes, because they were the gods of the sun, and they came and they needed the big buggy eyed kind of, it makes you really think about that, because these guys, when they did this stuff, it's like when you looked at some of the Sumerian things where the Anunnaki guy's holding a lion in his arms, or something, or whatever. Well, they wouldn't have drew a picture of that with a guy holding a lion in his arms, stepping on a little guy on his foot, if that wasn't really what was going on. That would be way too out of it. I mean, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be feasible. So I don't know. That's another show. Okay, what does the sun do to you? But unprotected exposure to the sun's ultraviolet rays can cause damage to the skin, eyes, immune system, and it can also cause cancer. But sunburn and excessive UV light exposed to do damage to the skin. This damage can lead to skin cancer and premature skin aging and photoaging. Who hasn't had a sunburn? Our brain, there's the perihelion effect. Did you even know this? The sun touches our psyche. It's called the perihelion effect.
Yeah, you said it right the first time.
Yeah.
And I was pretty impressed.
Yeah. So will we. The effects of the sun on human population. Light is necessary for health, well-being, as we use it in various metabolic processes, just like food and water. It affects us through the skin and eyes, and stimulating vital biological functions such as gland physiology. The sun has a positive effect on wound healing, rehabilitation, and reparation of bone, muscle, tendon, ligament, and nerve damage. So go out and get a little sun. Not too much, though. Okay, everything needs energy to survive. Producers make their own food through photosynthesis, plants mostly. Consumers cannot do this, so they must eat to get their energy. All of the energy in the food chain originally came from the sun. So no matter what you eat or do or anything, yeah, it came from the sun. Effects of light on animals. We're not the only one affected. Many physiological reactions in animals all around the world are incited by light. A longer exposure to light in the spring starts a reproduction urge in some animals. Birds nesting in the spring, of course. Adapted skin cover protects animals from negative effects of strong sun rays. That's why elephants can survive in Africa. That's why the birds go south. That's why the bees come out in the spring.
And it's said that in our current era and what we've been dealing with, why the colored people that live in the north are affected by COVID so much worse, because their skin is not converting the vitamin D from the sun into converting the sun into vitamin D as much as the Caucasian people, because Caucasian people live in the north, because that's why you're white, is because you're in the northern climates.
Yeah, and you need that vitamin D to produce healthy skin and keep your body going, and its immune production.
For our immune system, yes.
Yeah, it does a lot of things. And that's why I remember back in the ages, they would take a sickly person and put them out in the sun, and and say, here, just sit out in the sun, and they knew it helped you. Here, this is how you fix it. Just go out in the sun. Just go sit in the sun. So go out. How many stories
have you heard of people being depressed without the sun, being in northern climates?
Yeah. There's too much cloudy. Wisconsin and Minnesota are one of them that's so cloudy so many days of the year.
A lot of people on Prozac around here.
Yeah, because they're not getting enough sun. Washington State is another one. Seattle, Oregon, those states where it's cloudy like 250 days out of the year. It's crazy. Okay, see, physical effects of light. The circadian rhythm. This must be reset daily, not exactly 24 hours. The light-dark cycle resets it. Melatonin production produced only at night in a dark environment. A small amount of light stops it immediately, especially blue-white light. That's from your computer, your cell phone, anything. Yes. So make sure you shut things off. Turn your phone over. Anything you can do. Make sure you sleep in the dark. Don't sleep with a bunch of lights on, at least for a little while every night. It is very important.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, get one of those things to put over your eyes.
Yeah.
There's special ones that you can buy that block out all the light. Very good for you. Try it sometime. Take some extra melatonin before you go to sleep. But remember, your body produces it naturally, except for when the light stops it immediately. Now, I don't know how long it takes to get to sleep, to get the melatonin flowing again. But as you know, some people have a hard time getting to sleep, and you got to get that REM sleep, I'm sure, to get it. So
Scotty brings up a good point that, that's why people usually sit in dark caves to like meditate and to
yes. And it does, it changes your brain waves from like alpha to beta when you sit in that cave.
Yep.
So although some microorganisms, bacteria living in the Earth's crust might survive, the majority of life would only for a brief post-sun existence. Photosynthesis would stop immediately, and most plants would die within a few weeks. With the food chain's bottom tier knocked out, most animals, humans included, would die off quickly without food. Scavengers, animals that eat dead matter, could live off the rest of us dead guys for quite a while until the cold eventually kills them too. Yeah, the food, if you see here, we'll go back. That's the food chain, man.
Yeah, right.
Everything works off of that grass, which gets the stuff from sunlight. And then all these little critters are consumed by the bigger critters and the bigger critters. And we're up here at the top. So that kind of sucks for us. except if you're a vegetarian. And then, of course, you're going to eat the bottom part, and then you'll die off right away because you're not eating anything else. Okay, heat. The sun's rays hit the equator at a direct angle between 23 degrees north and 23 degrees south latitude. Radiation that reaches the atmosphere here is at its most intense. In all other cases, the rays arrive at an angle to the surface and are less intense. The closer a place is to the poles, the smaller the angle, therefore the less intense radiation. Go figure. So we live way up here. We're on the less intense. Aren't we lucky?
And notice people closer to the equator are darker skinned.
Yes, yes. People closer to the equator. And did you notice that that's where closer to the equator you get, that's where most of the diseases start, most of the poisonous animals live, most of the, that's where most of the people live, is actually around the equator-ish area, because that's where the things grow the best too. Oh,
yeah, and it's the warmest.
Yes, it's warm year round. Yeah, you have no problem. I mean, if there was another ice age, everybody would be migrating to the south, to the equator, I tell you. Because that's our biggest downfall is if there's anything that ever happens, even living off grid, the biggest worry you have is your energy uses is as heating your house. Everything else is minimal. I mean, I can go down to the river and get some water. I can build a house out of wood. I can grow a garden. But in the wintertime, how am I going to heat my house? How am I going to stay warm? Burn wood. If you have anything electrical, a fan, a blower, you want to heat a bigger house, you got to have energy. You got to have lots of energy to keep warm in the winter. And the winters can be long. And we finish up the sun. We can't live without it. There you go. Everything needs the sun.
Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on. Won't you shine down on? Please shine down on me.
That could be a song. There you go. I hope you guys liked my little presentation.
That was awesome, Robert. That was really
I put a lot of work and effort into that.
Presented. You did pretty good, man.
Oh, well,
definitely. Very detailed.
It was something that get thought provoking, like it says, we're all made up of the sun. And, I know that, Steve, you were big into the Nibiru thing, right? And for a long time. Now, if that was a sun of some sort, then, and that came around, that sunlight would interact with our sunlight, changing the sunlight that we have. It would affect our DNA even, wouldn't it?
Well, right. That's eventually what steered me away from the whole planet Nibiru thing and made me really search really what it means is, and that's the whole thing. For me, Nibiru was a stepping stone. I thought there was two suns, and I had an experience that made me believe that, where one morning I went into somebody's house and the sun wasn't up. I came out, and all of a sudden I seen a red horizon, and then I came back out 10 minutes after that, and it was clear as day outside, and the sun was up in the air, and it would freak me out. And that's what set me on my search. And oddly enough, Nibiru is a place of crossing, but we are Nibiru, and the whole Anunnaki thing is what happens when we recreate the light of the world in us, and that's the spiritual sun.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing. Was the sun back then the same sun that we have now? I
tend to think that it turned whiter. But that's just me.
Well, I agree. And we're like the frog in the pot. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
The thing is who's out there that remembers the sun as a different color? I mean, we've gone back, and there are stories. I don't remember if any of you two have heard of them, but there were times when the sun was a different color, or the sky was purple. The sun sky was purple. Now, was that because the sun was giving off a different color because as we learned in our presentation, the sun is made up of helium and hydrogen and helium, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why they
But-
made atomic bombs with those elements? Yes.
Yes. Now here's the thing. Exactly. So if you want to be a chemist, and I don't know if any of you two are kind of chemisty, but when you put different gases, each gas, if you pass light through it, has a different color, right?
Burns a different color, correct?
Yeah. But now if you mix those gases, and if you got those two gases mixing, we get the light that we have now, right? Say something came around by the sun or hit the sun, adding that extra element into the sun for a while.
Well,
You know?
Dolores Cannon did say that the chemtrails are here to help humanity ascend. And if you really look into what white light is, white light is all colors in one. And that's why a prism shows the 7 colors of the one white light, you know? And that corresponds with the 7 chakras, the 7 days a week, the 7 hermetic principles on up, you know, and it just always leads you back to the one thing, Robert, you know, it all does, dude.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it was just true, you know, I mean, and by, you know, like it says, you know, I start thinking about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, if you could change the color of the sun, or something would change the makeup of the sun, or some, you know, there's your chemical reaction, and that would affect us, even though the sun didn't explode, it didn't grow, you know. Now they're always talking about the sun having a micronova. Is that where it, you know, what if it has more helium burning than it does hydrogen for a while? You know, would the colors would change, you know, even if it's for 100 years or 10 years or something, that small amount, that would affect our light being, you know, it would affect the plant light beings and everything. It would affect the DNA. It would change things dramatically, you know.
Well, if you get growing light, a new LED growing light, you notice that the light is way different than any other growing light you used to own.
Yeah, they used to be like a purple or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Now
like
they're
a black light almost. Yes.
Yeah.
Now they're super white, bright, and you can feel the heat come off them. And you know, I've got one of these aqua gardens that you can grow tomatoes in the house, and it's got this little thing that you lift up as the light, you know, as the plants grow, you can make the light higher, and
cool.
You know, it's pretty cool. But I mean, it's super bright. You have it on at night, and it's like you said with your presentation, you won't produce any melatonin, and you won't be able to stay asleep. That's why you can't stay asleep when it's light normally. Some people can sleep in the middle of the day, but
That's me. I work 3rd shift.
there you go. You get
I sleep during the day, but I also have these. I have several of these. You can't see them because of the damn thing, but I sleep with shades on my eyes.
Oh, you got one of those little mask things.
I have several of them because I keep losing them. Because I wake up because and I take it off, either go to the bathroom, come back. I was like, where the hell did I put it? Because when I first wake up, I'm always just, my brain is still, what the hell's going on now? Why up? You know, why is the light out when I wake up? My brain still doesn't quite adjust to this, but it's the life I chose. So I have several of the nightshades for my eyes.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever listened to JP Sears. And JP Sears advertises some kind of thing for your eyes. It's special, you know, one of those things. And I always want to get one of those. He says it's the best there is. I forget what brand or something like that, but you have to check out his channel and then go see what the company is or something. I'm not advertising for him. I'm just saying is that I wanted to get some of that stuff, you know, try it out. Yeah. Grumpy Stack says I used to be able to sleep anywhere, anytime. Yeah, me too. I can close my eyes and I'm out. It'd take me 5 minutes.
I can only sleep a few hours at a time at the most.
That's my problem too. Is I sleep only about 5 hours a day, and if it was 20 years ago, I had to get my 8 hours. Now I sleep 5 hours, and I still don't understand that, but I'm fine.
Yeah, that's all.
Even working nights. I mean, I'm up all night, you know, and Used to be that I have to take a short nap working third shift, but I don't know what it is with these current times, but the energies are different. There's no question about it.
Now, do you think the energies are different because the sun is different, or do you think it's because the rotation of the earth is different?
I think the timelines are different. I don't think we live in the, I don't think what we live right now is the reality we used to know. Something's different. It's like the old thought of we're in a simulation. The more I think about it, the more I realize it's just, things are just not how they used to be.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And there are some people who are just, they go through the motions. They're not. Wayne Steiger was saying that some people don't have souls. Not how crazy that was, but as I thought about it, it's like some people are just going through the motions. It's like they're pre-programmed to do their thing, and no matter what happens around them, they just do it. And then some people are, what the hell are you doing? They're still conscious, and it's like the system is still breaking down. And maybe that's the whole idea with this virus, is that they're just, there needs to be a way of keeping the conscious ones away from the unconscious ones for a little while so they can reboot the unconscious ones. I don't talk about that because that's crazy talk. But
no, but it makes a lot of sense, because I don't know about you, but I've run into people who just seem like they got nothing. They got nothing.
It's
they're filler people.
And it's, if you pay attention, there are just so many of them. At least 25% of people are filler people. And another show was talking about it, the conscious people and the unconscious people. And it's coming up more and more that people are bringing out this idea that there's a group of people in our lives that are they're just not there anymore. They're there physically, but they're just going through the motions of life.
Yeah. So when
isn't that the definition of sleep, though?
Oh, I guess.
Well, here's the thing.
Pretty much the definition of sleeping. Staying asleep.
What if your thought and your theory on the timeline, we jumped into a different timeline, right? And the zombie people, or the fillers, were the people who really didn't make it. They did, but they weren't really in this other timeline that we jumped into, right? So when you jumped from this timeline to this timeline, they never existed, and so they really didn't have anything, no purpose there. You see what I'm saying? They just jumped into the timeline and went, oh, I'm dead. I'm supposed to be dead or not exist, but now I'm here, so I'm just a zombie.
There's another idea where that when timelines split, a copy of me is in the other timeline who's not conscious. Well, I'm conscious in this one, but my close friend, his consciousness went to the other timeline, and now his copy is here. So I'm interacting with my non-conscious friend who's following directions from my conscious friend on the other timeline. That's how confusing this all gets.
Or it's much simpler than that, and there is no time. Everything is all now.
Yeah.
This may sound a little nostalgic or whatever, but and there's only one consciousness, and there is only one, and we are all just perceiving it all differently because of the tools we have, the experiences we make, and the life we live. And we're all on different rungs of the ladder, so to speak, to awaken. And we all look outwardly, looking to awaken and looking for what is wrong and what's different, and what's this and what's that. And everything we're speaking of here, maybe just signs for us to look within and really figure out that we're all one in the end. And that it may sound a little
see, this is where I kind of want to argue about that. And I thought kind of like you for the longest time, Steve, is because that, we're on this, and there's just this one line, but the thing is if for instance, Lucky, you have done a lot of this stuff where the spirit guides are always saying something about the future, blah 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 blah, right? Well, they aren't bound by time, so they can see the future and different possibilities in the future. And the only way to see different possibilities in the future in multiple scenarios would be if they already exist. Because you couldn't, like just say, well, what if he walked down the street this way and tripped over a rock? But if he walked down the street and then went to the right and then he didn't trip over the rock, how would that change the outcome? But then a lady come and talk to him, but if he tripped over the rock, some lady didn't talk to him, and then he turned the opposite direction.
And I could stop you and say, what if I'm a watermelon?
Well, yeah, you could all, but that's what I'm saying. Then you
get what I mean?
You created another timeline. But I'm saying is you have all those multiple choices that could actually happen or are happening, and then
but for all that to take place,
you
have to convince yourself that consciousness is something created in each individual brain. And if that's the case, that's impossible, because consciousness was here before you were born. So consciousness, if it's separate, then that could be the case. But if consciousness is one thing, and we're all just tools in the conscious bubble, so to speak, that pick up that consciousness signal like radios, and it just depends on what kind of radio you are, or your past life experiences, how they add up to your spiritual development. Because in the end, in the end, the sun that we speak of that's out here represents our psyche in reality. It has a morning, a high, noon, and a set, just like every life that lives, and you could think of it that way, just that simplistic thing, but it's a linear thing, and that's what we are in a finite suit. But this finite suit does not create the consciousness we experience. There's no way I can wrap my mind around any other than it's pre-existent to what we are. And if that's the case, then time does not hold sway in the spiritual aspect. And this is the whole thing where the physical paradigm and the spiritual paradigm butt heads, and there's nowhere to go until you figure out within you how to swallow that pill, and there's nothing anybody can do for anybody else to tell you anything that you're not gonna bite on or not bite on. It's all individual paths, and we're all angles of the same light.
Yeah. Well, I agree that with it's just like the presentation. Each culture had their sun god, yet we found representations of the same thing in each one of them.
Every one of them. It's all interconnected. It's from our numbers, from the Hebrew alphabet down to our numbering system, to the octaves in the music, to the scale, to the colors, to the 7 colors coming from the one white light. White light is everything. It's just crazy, and it's beautiful.
But there are not 7 colors. That's how many
there's
humans.
3 primary colors, and then
no. You're thinking what humans see. You're putting things in your perspective.
I'm talking about in our physical paradigm as well.
And the 7 colors, they're actually 6, because the indigo and violet are actually 1 color, but Newton made it 7 because they're like number 7 rather than 6. It gets all complicated from our perceptions.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah, remember, we only see 5% of or 5 or 7%.
It's
of the
crazy.
But so we're missing 95% of everything we're supposed to be seeing, which is crazy as can be. So
it gets all very complicated. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So
we convolute everything, and that's
absolutely.
We confuse everything, make everything confusing, and I think that's just part of the veil, and how we see through it is simplifying it and realizing that the stillness is within us, and that's all I can share, is that
that's the truth. Yes,
trying to find it.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah, because we each one of our perspectives is just as valid as the next, and because it's part of adding to the reality of us all, and and that's the beautiful thing that's coming to head right now, is that people are realizing that we're all going to be the same in the end. There's always going to be this faction, a group that's going to try to hold sway over the next, but in the end, we all want the same things,
Oh yeah, I totally agree with it. See,
and tyranny never wins, man, by the way. And it has proven that.
No, yeah, that you can't. Yeah, it's a cycle too.
Yes.
And that's a cycle. It's always a cycle. People fall into the cycle, and then they rise up out of that cycle, and then they, you know, go back down the same road like it never happened. And you can look back in every single history book, and that's exactly the way
bad
it is.
behaviors have you repeated? I've repeated the same bad behavior over and 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 over, knowing it's bad and still doing it, you know?
Yeah. How many times have you
is our-
gotten that pizza out of the oven and still put the hot pizza in your mouth and burnt your mouth? I went, oh man, I still haven't
That
learned.
hurts.
You know, I'm 52 years old and I'm still burning.
Hey,
my
I got to
mouth.
go pick my daughter up, man. I appreciate
Oh,
you guys.
All right. Yeah,
I appreciate you,
it's
Robert.
been an hour.
You did an awesome job tonight, brother.
Oh, thank you, Steve, for coming.
All right,
Bye,
thanks,
guys.
everybody.
You know, thank you, everybody. Lucky,
no,
still
you
you
can
can
keep going. I'm just gonna duck out.
Okay, yeah, Lucky, stay
Love you,
on
man.
for a little bit.
Okay.
All right, bye.
There's David Castle. He says, I'm sorry I'm late. My grand aunt. Oh, your great aunt passed away. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, man. Sorry to hear that, David Castle. Oh, she left a score of 103. It's kind of hard to beat for sure. 103. Wow. Okay. Well, by gosh, she lived a nice full life there. Yep. Sorry to hear that. You know, but I'm sure she had lived a full life by that point. Yes, I'm sure. But anyhow, Lucky, what do you think of all of that? Do you think there's different timelines or just the one?
I think there's multiple, and I'm still trying to get my mind around it. If he makes a good point, but I have to have there are people who are just not here, and I'm thinking there must be another timeline. Otherwise, they're just filler people, and that's just part of life. And I mean, his idea means that they're, you know, because consciousness, every one of us has a consciousness because we're an aspect of God. The aspect of God in us is our consciousness. I'm great with that. But if they're the filler people, if they're there, then they're not an aspect of God. And what the hell are they? And the aspect of the devil? Well, I don't believe in the devil. I believe the devil was created. So it goes around and around in the circle in my mind. So I don't know.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is this, and maybe they were, but when timelines jump, they then become, you know, non-people. They're still here in the physical form. They're going through the motions, but somehow when the timeline jumps, they didn't all make it. You see what I'm saying?
I do. I do. I do understand that, and I still trying to work into that in my mind. Yeah.
And that's the only way I can put it together, because obviously they're here. You can go and talk to them and see them, and they go through the motions. They go to work. They eat food. They do stuff like that. But we do know that something's missing out of some of those people. And what is it? I mean, we know they have to have some kind of a consciousness or soul being to animate their body. But if that emanation that emanated the body at one point in time, you know, mostly disappeared, the body without it, you know, your body, just because it doesn't have a consciousness, isn't just going to die off, right? There's still going to be the body itself, and then there's the consciousness. The consciousness is like, I always say, it's like the man riding the horse, right? You make the horse do what you give it personality, whatever. But if you get off the horse is still a horse, but now it's just a dumb critter that eats grass and runs around. You see what I'm saying?
I understand, but that also depends on the horse. Because I grew up on a horse farm, and we had some horses that could open their gates, and we still couldn't figure out how the hell they figured that out.
Yeah.
And we had some horses you would just, I mean, we had one horse, I loved her dearly, but the dog came over, grabbed her rein, and started walking away because this dog's grabbed things, thought it was a rope, and started walking away. And the horse just followed the dog. And because the horse had I'm being led away. And I mean, another horse we had would never follow a stupid dog, but it all depends on the horse. Some horses are easily manipulated. They just they do what they're told. Others is like, wait a second, I can do what I want with this. And those were honestly the worst horses. The horses that had that that little bit of intelligence were horrid because they could do whatever the hell they wanted, and and it was hard to control them. For the most part, the other horses we had all our quarter horses were basically, they did as they told. They were great for catching, going for the cows and everything like that. Then you had the Arab horses, which were bred to be a little bit more intelligent, because there were horses that you could get on the back of it, and as long as you're working with it, you didn't have to hold the reins. It would just take you where you wanted to go. Well, the quarter horses, you needed to hold the reins because you had to tell it exactly where you wanted to go. Where I come from this, horses and leading them to. So that goes back to the people.
Yeah, but what and I've had horses for years too, and I had tons of horses. Trust me, I had plenty of them.
Oh yeah.
But okay, there's the smart horses and there's the dumb horses. I get that, but when you get on that horse changes.
Yeah,
that horse is like a different animal. I mean, all of a sudden he's got spunk or spirit. He turns, he does things, he's acting totally different than he would regardless of what he's, doing. He acts totally different than when he's just walking around with his own brain,
and we have had horses that would change personality depending with the rider. You're right. Yes,
and that's what I'm talking about.
You're right.
So you got the human body, and some are a little smarter and some are a little dumber, and they're going through the motions, but without that soul consciousness or whatever operating, manipulating, and thinking in the body, that makes the difference between I'm a robot and I'm going to be a great pianist, and I'm going to think out of the box. I'm going to be Albert Einstein, and I'm going to be a great scientist, or I'm going to be a sports player or whatever, because all of a sudden I got heart and I got spirit, and I'm, doing things that I would normally not do. You know what I'm saying? And
I know, and I'm thinking about it. Back when I was a kid, we had a horse that you could put anybody on. It was great. Then you had a person who wanted a little bit of spunk, and this horse was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It was weird. And that horse was really great horse, but just, and the person said, "Oh, she was so difficult to ride." I'm like, "Yeah, you want a more difficult horse to ride." She said, "How would the horse know that?" I'm like, "I don't know." Yeah. That's weird. I never thought about that for a long time.
But that's my makeup of that. But anyhow, we've had a really good show. I don't want to go too terribly long, but by gosh, thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody. Grumpy Stack wanted a show on something or other, reincarnation, but that'll have to happen. Next week, we got Grandpa Brian, who's going to be on, and he's going to talk all about Reiki. And so that is going to be an interesting run. I got a little book of Reiki, and I'm going to read it up. So I am not totally in the dark because I have really kind of not much of a clue what it's all about. I know it's about healing and different things and sending energy and opening up whatever. But what do you know about Reiki?
I don't know anything about Reiki.
Yeah,
I never. I've talked to people who are into that kind of thing, but I have no idea about it.
Yeah. So we're gonna learn a little bit about Reiki next week. So join us for that. Grandpa Brian's gonna be a great teacher on this. And I'm going to mount up a book full of questions like this. So I hope he's ready. And he says, do you have to do 3 hours a night? Oh, I suppose to make up for the hours I didn't. Don't worry. I am going to be back on Tuesday with a show with David Null, if he's up to it. We're going to do another Native American myths and legends and get right back on the horse we rode in on a few months or weeks ago. Seems like months ago already. And sorry about the light. I don't know why it was doing real good. And then just like that, it just kind of petered out on me.
It's time, I guess. Yeah.
I have to do that. There we go. Sometimes it does the thing. But anyway, thank you for coming. Michelle Can-Am Free, who came in. Greenie Houdini. I haven't seen her in a while. Of course, I haven't seen any of you guys in a while. And David Castle, I am sorry about your great aunt, but 103 is great. Who's going to help me? My past life regression. Grumpy Stack. Now, why would you want to know your past life regression if you're so darn grumpy? I mean, what, in your past life, you're going to find out you were a shit shoveler or something, or a low man on the totem pole. Now that would make me grumpy. I wouldn't want to know. Yeah, you were probably a blacksmith, and you worked on horses' feet or wagon wheels, and there you go. Your life has not changed a bit. I just did all the regression you need.
Well, Eckhart Tolle says the power of now. Eckhart Tolle is all about living in the now, and the past life is in the past. It'd be nice to know, but your all your control is in the now. Figure out what you want now and go forward. Stop thinking about the past. But that was Eckhart Tolle, and I enjoy him.
No, I agree. Eckhart Tolle. I'll have to look him up. But yeah, live in the now and live for the future. Work hard for the future, because you can't go back into the past. It's over and done with, and you can only move into the future. So, whatever you've done before, forget about it and move and start doing new things. Right?
Yep.
I like that. Anyway, Grandpa Brian says he's laughing. Wait, he can't wait to come on. Don't worry. You're going to get put to the test, Grandpa Brian. There you go. Anyway, enough said. We're going to end it right there. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Thank you, Lucky Stone, for being my co-host tonight. And Steve, drive safe, pick up your daughter, and we'll see you all again probably Tuesday, and if not, next week on Saturday. And we will be back. And remember, everybody, be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all. Peace, everybody.